Hello everyone! Today I will be showing you how to make 2 cute housewarming cards. You can use these cards for someone who just has moved into your neighborhood or for someone who has bought their first home. I made one of these cards for my cousin who was moving into her first home and was having a little party. I decided to make another housewarming card while I was at it to have one in my stash. For the card, I used the cricut cartridge and cut out the house on some white cardstock. I then cut out the roof, heart, door, and window box that went along with the house on some white cardstock as well. Once everything was cut out, I then set the house aside to use later. I set down some scrap cardstock that I had lying around to protect my cutting mat since I was going to be doing some coloring. For the roof, door, heart, and window box, I decided to color them in using my EK Success markers. I colored the roof red, the door gray, the heart in light blue, and the window box in black to make it stand out. After everything was colored in, I set all the pieces aside. I recently bought a new stamp set with a variety of sentiments that I did a haul on, and it will be linked down below. One of the sentiments in the set said, "Home Sweet Home." I thought the sentiment would work well on the front door. I inked it up with some VersaFine Onyx black ink and stamped it on some white cardstock. I then cut the sentiment out with my EK Success scissors. A neat trick when fussy cutting an image is smooth the image around and not your scissors. Also, if you don't cut the image perfectly, you can use a black marker to go around the edge to hide your cutting mistakes. Following the sentiment being cut out, I grabbed the front door and attached it using my Zig 2-way glue pen and then pushed it down with my fingers to make sure it was stuck. While I had my Zig 2-way glue pen out, I attached the roof, door, heart, and window box to the house and then set it aside again. After I set the house aside, I thought it could still use a few more things to tie it all together. So I got out my pastel paper pack and pulled out a sheet of light green paper. I used my Cricut machine again and the Plantain Schoolbook cartridge to cut out some grass. Once the grass was cut out, I lined it up with the house and marked it with a light pencil line as to where it would need to be trimmed. I trimmed the grass using my Fiskars paper trimmer and ink. I then trimmed the grass using my Fiskars paper trimmer. When the grass was all done, it looked a little too light. I thought about going around the edges with my EK Success markers, but then changed my mind. When the grass was all done, it looked a little too light. I thought about going around the edge with my EK Success markers, but then changed my mind. I grabbed out my Tim Holtz Distress ink in the color Mauve Lawn. I made the bottom of the grass darker, and as I went up, it got lighter. The cardstock I was using worked well for blending the ink because I didn't have to work hard at moving it around. When working with distress inks, the oils from your hands can leave marks on your project, so that is why I have a piece of paper to hold on to. Once the grass was done, I attached it to the house. Since this card was from my cousin who just got her first home, I decided to add a cute sold sign to the front lawn. I cut the sold sign out of the Cricut Walk in My Garden cartridge on some brown cardstock. The sign in the cartridge was to be for a garden, but I thought it looked cute for a little sold sign. I also cut the letters out of the Plantain Schoolbook cartridge onto some white cardstock. I wanted to cut the letters on some black, but I didn't have any in my stash, so I took my EK Success markers and colored them in. Following the letters being colored in, I attached them to the sign with my Zig 2-way glue pen. After everything was added to the sign, I placed it on the house where I thought I wanted it to go. I had to cut some of the pole off the sign since it was a little too long. I attached it to the house using some Elmer's clear liquid glue. The last thing I added to the house to tie it all together was some flowers in the window box. I have 2 small flower punches and thought they worked well. I punched out flowers on some light blue cardstock and some on some pink and then attached them to the card. Once the flowers were attached to the house, I flipped it over and cut out a yellow piece of cardstock to go over the window. I decided to cover the window so you wouldn't just see the card base behind it. I then attached the yellow piece of cardstock using my ATG tape runner. For the card base, I folded some white cardstock in half and trimmed it down to the size I wanted it using my Fiskars paper trimmer. I then decided to add some blue cardstock to the front and make it look like a sky. After the blue cardstock was attached, I then attached the house and thought the front looked complete. Following the card being finished, I thought since we were giving a gift to go along with the card that a matching gift tag would be nice and would tie everything together. For the gift tag, I punched a scallop onto some hot pink cardstock using my scallop punch. I then used the Creator cartridge and cut out a house onto some white cardstock and the matching pieces on red cardstock. Once the house was cut out, I attached the pieces using my Zig 2-8 glue pen. Once the house was cut out, I attached the pieces using my Zig 2-8 glue pen. For the heart that went along with the house, I thought it looked a little plain, so I decided to add some dots around the edge using my black Sharpie marker pen. Next, I grabbed my to and from wooden stamp and inked it up with some VersaFine Onyx black ink and stamped it onto the scallop. I then decided to give the house some dimension when attaching it, so I added some foam tape to the back. The last thing I did to the gift tag was add the word "Hello" by the house, and then thought everything looked complete. Thanks for watching. Please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and don't forget to subscribe. Also, a list of the products used to make this cute card and gift tag are listed down below in the more info box.